I'm making the perfect cup of classic Turkish coffee today, as well as some delicious varieties. We'll begin with a short recap of its history and end with a fun lesson on fortune telling. Although the coffee plant originated in Ethiopia, allegedly it was the Sufi monks of Yemen who made the first coffee drink. They needed a way to stay awake all night while meditating, and no doubt caffeine must have come in handy. Then in 1517, the Ottoman Empire invaded Yemen. They brought some coffee back to the palace, and it was predictably a hit. The very first public place serving coffee in the world is reported to be in Istanbul by the name Kivahan, which loosely translates into coffee house. The culture spread quickly. Throughout the Ottoman Empire, kahvehane became a place for men to socialize. However, women were not allowed in these places and could only enjoy coffee at home. So the men had to provide their wives with enough coffee no matter what. If they couldn't, their wives could even divorce them, which was quite extraordinary for the time. Since 1926, women in Turkey have been able to get a divorce for not just lack of coffee, but for any reason. Though even to this day, it's still mostly frowned upon for females to enter a traditional Turkish coffee house. Now, this will be controversial, but the name Turkish coffee is a bit of a misnomer, especially now that we know its history better. Many cultures use the same brewing technique. You'll sometimes hear it being referred to as Greek, Arabic, or Bosnian coffee as well. In fact, many coffee connoisseurs often call it Cezve or ibrik coffee, which is the name of the vessel that it's brewed in. In case you don't have one of these, use the smallest saucepan you have at home. The thinner and taller, the better. The beans most widely used for Turkish coffee are medium or dark roast Arabica beans from Brazil, but you can certainly use a specialty light roast without fear of wasting it. The trick is to grind the beans extremely finely, even finer than you would for espresso. You can also purchase a pre-ground package like this one from the famous shop Mehmet Efendi, but it likely won't be fresh. Turkish coffee is easy to over-extract, and this often results in a very bitter cup. Usually, that bitter taste is masked by adding sugar, but with this technique we'll follow today, you won't need to. So let's make a plain cup of coffee first. Measure out 6.5 grams of coffee, then add 8 to 10 times of that weight in water. We'll go with 60 milliliters. Though 99% of Turkish coffee drinkers do not bother with specific measurements at all. You may simply add a heaping tablespoon of coffee, then water. Just measure it out with the same cup you'll be drinking from. This usually comes out about the same 1:8, 1:10 proportion we're looking for. Mix the coffee before turning on the burner, just a few times to avoid over-extraction. Turn the heat on to medium and watch intently. I'd highly suggest doing this on a gas range where you have the most control over the heat source, but we can still brew a decent cup on pretty much any stove. Many recipes instruct brewing the coffee for 5 to 10 minutes, bringing it to a boil, multiple times even, but these all result in a heavily over-extracted unbitter cup of coffee just for the sake of more foam. The solution is to brew only up to 2 to 3 minutes tops, and to remove it from heat before boiling. Starting out with warm water at about 140 degrees Fahrenheit helps with this process, but isn't required. Continue heating until the island of foam starts to collapse in on itself. This will be the point right before it comes to a boil. Pour it into a cup at an angle to preserve the foam, and there you have it, a beautiful cup of Turkish coffee. Some people in Turkey may call this a manda batmaz, meaning if a cow stepped in it, it couldn't sink because the coffee is so foamy. Now, the main variety of Turkish coffee comes with the added amount of sugar. We have sade, az, orta, or şekerli to differentiate between how much sugar is in it. We made it sade, which is how I prefer it, but when it's brewed for longer or boiled, you'll definitely need some sugar to mask that bitterness. And for my favorite variety, we'll add mastic. This is a resin that originated in the Greek island of Chios, the birthplace of the mathematician Hippocrates. He poetically called the substance tears of Chios. It has a very refreshing flavor, think like cedar or pine. You can buy the resin directly and grind it down, or you can get a toffee-like candy called macun made with mastic to mix in. It is so delicious. Here, I'm adding some ground mastic and cardamom to make a spiced version of Turkish coffee. Serve it immediately with some water and a small sweet treat on the side, like our homemade Turkish delight. If you'd like to have a cooler version, simply pour a freshly brewed cup of Turkish coffee over some ice and add your favorite non-dairy milk, plus with some cacao powder, and we have a very untraditional iced mocha. Finally, fortune telling. Because we're leaving in the ground beans with this method, it's possible to see some shapes, just like Professor Trelawney does with tea leaves. After finishing your coffee, swirl it clockwise 3 times, then turn it upside down towards yourself. Ideally, someone else should read your fortune for you. Wait a few minutes until the cup is cool to the touch, pick it up, and now you can make up wonderful stories to make your loved one happy. For example, in this one, I'm seeing a little dragon, so maybe it's a sign that the ending of the new Game of Thrones spin-off won't disappoint me as much. And this one looks like a lady making s'mores by the fire, so maybe we really should go camping this weekend. Or maybe I'm just hungry. Aw, here's a duck with her cute baby in tow. Bird means luck, so guess I'll go buy a lottery ticket now. You get the idea. Of course, I realize that ground up beans smeared on porcelain can't tell me what the future will look like, so we do this completely for fun, for conversation. There's a Turkish saying that goes, "Gönül ne kahve ister ne kahvehane, gönül sohbet ister kahve bahane." Hope you enjoyed this one and can share a cup with your loved ones soon. Next week, I'll show you how to make my great-grandmother's gözleme, so stay tuned. Don't forget to like and subscribe to help with the algorithm, and thank you so much for watching. Be well till next time.